probably in the office and online, so I'll be admitting people, but let's get rolling. Let's see if we can actually finish on time. Haha. But yeah, thank you all for joining us today. We're talking about deal analysis of a Bend flip, and this is no off-market deal. We actually found this deal on market for Karen Rugg, who many of you know. She's in our community. She's our guest speaker today. She's sitting in the office across from Sarah. So we'll do intros in a second, but yeah, just wanted to preface this by saying, you know, finding a good flip deal doesn't always have to be off market. Yes, you can find good spreads that way, but there's also good deals to be had on the MLS. So yeah, super fun and just really exciting to have Karen here and be able to tell the story of how she did this. And she's going to tell you all the numbers, which is super awesome. Like full transparency. You're going to see her spreadsheets. She's going to share some tools with you. So excited to hear the good, bad, and you know, learning opportunities from what's that?
There's ugly in there too sometimes.
Oh yeah, the good, bad, and the ugly. All right, I was trying to be more diplomatic. All right, well, let's just dive in. So Sarah and I are realtors. You're in our office if you're sitting in the beautiful training room. So we are realtors at Realty One Group Discovery in Bend. And we also have the Central Oregon Investor Network, which is this, where we bring people together to learn from one another and share resources with the ultimate goal of making more passive income from our real estate investments. Anything else you want to say, Sarah?
I mean, Suzanne's living it, right? We're all living it. Suzanne is doing her remote work thing, and this is the goal, right? So everybody can do what they want with their time. So thanks for being here.
Yes, and if you haven't been with us before, that QR code on the screen here is something you can snap either in the room or online. That'll get you on our weekly email list, and we send out our top investor picks every single week straight to your inbox, and we write all the content ourselves. So you can see all the best deals we're finding. And I don't know if Karen's deal even made it to the top picks. We should actually check, or if we just brought it straight to Karen. Sarah, do you remember?
I think we might have put the video on.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's where you will find some good deals. So today is behind the flip, and our quick agenda is we'll just talk about who's here. We'll go through the flip, so we'll look at the real numbers, the challenges, optimizing the renovation, so really focusing on where to put your money to get the most ROI out of it, and exit strategies to maximize your sales price, and then how to take action. So we'll just go, let's do around the room first. I have to put myself on mute for just 1 second. So take it away in the office, and then I'll come back online.
I can start. I'll end it too. I'm Karen Rugg. My partner and I have Perennial Building, and we're builders based out of Sisters, Oregon. And I'll be speaking today about a flip that we just finished up. We started in 2019 as more of like a client-focused company, wanting to get clients and do their projects. And then because of the type of construction we want to do, we've transitioned over the last 6 years to be more like developer builder, hopefully owner operator with the project that we're working on now, as well as doing our own flips. So really getting more into the investment side.
Okay, I'll go next. My name is Erin Levin. I am an investor and also do business development for RLA Builds, which is a project management company and a construction project management company, building automations and commercial construction. Yeah, should I do it all? It's my second segment. What do I say?
Isaac, here with Aaron. Just trying to learn some stuff and catch up to where maybe Aaron's at, and where it goes.
Oh, and my brother's on his way here, but he works with he's the one who really runs like construction company. So his name's Rob.
All right, I'm Sheree. I'm the Midwest Slow Flipper investor, and I'm looking forward to learning more about fix and flips because I think I want to do some to get it out of my system. I do have heard the horror stories, but I think that's just the way real estate investing is. You've got horror stories and you got awesome stories. So I'm glad to be here.
My name is Kristen Muley. I'm here with Sheree. She actually, I came the first time when she presented about slow flips, and now I got caught with it with a fish hook, and I'm getting into that as well in the Midwest. My background is in architecture, architectural design, and I do a whole lot of drafting and detail work and things like that for mostly high-end residential. Yeah, I'm here today because that's similar to Sheree. I'm involved with it in a different way, but I've never done it. I'm new to investing and hoping to have my first deal.
We might do one together.
We may do one together. So it's good to partner up. And we'll see. I see it from another angle, but to actually be doing it is brand new to me, but is exciting too. So thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
I'm Brady. I work for a general contractor, Telcon, here in town during the day, I guess. And then me and my wife have a couple of real estate properties. I just got hoping to learn more and bought our last house from Sarah and Suzanne.
Hello, all. I'm Nolan. I'm kind of a bin local. I'm not an expert at all in real estate, more on the investment side, but my wife has a company that does historic preservation design consulting. And so we've also redeveloped our house, but it's not really on the flipper side, but looking to understand it a little bit more.
My name's Chris Parrish. Been a buy and hold investor for probably 12 years or so. And most people know me around town, Ponderosa Renovations. I'm a house flipper, but the long-term rentals is really the heart and soul. So.
Yeah, I'm Sarah Willis. I'm one of the team members here between Suzanne and I, and I've dabbled in a little bit of everything myself. I've got some out-of-state long-term rentals. I've got a couple doors here in town that are long-term rentals. A fix that I say was a flop that we kept it as a long-term rental. Did a lease option on it, and now we just closed on another house a couple weeks ago, and are fixing that up to turn into our primary residence. We'll turn our current primary residence into a rental. So just gonna keep plugging away.
All right, perfect. Whit joined us first.
Okay, well, I've been a long time investor in Bend. Long-term rentals has been my thing. I've done lots of renovating. But what intrigued me about today was how with today's high prices and interest rates, how someone actually makes money on a flip, because I know the numbers pretty well.
Yeah. Yep. I think we've got some things to say about that today.
Who else do we have here? We have Holly. Go ahead, Holly, if you can talk.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm Holly Lyons. I've been hanging out with Suzanne and Sarah for a little over a year now. And I've got my first flip in escrow right now. And hopefully we'll be making something on that. It became the flip that just got more and more expensive the more walls you took off. So I was able to, anybody new to the game, I don't know if there is anybody really new, but you got to network, because this is how I got into this, is that from networking, I found a partner in Portland, a Portland-based, very experienced flipper, wholesaler. And she's the one basically taking me through Flip University to get this done. So for all the money that we put into it, I feel like if we don't get a ton of money out of it, I've gotten a ton of education out of it, because this was just like every step of the way just went the wrong way. So, and then I will also be hopefully getting, the goal is 4 to 8 doors this year on single long-term, probably back in the Alabama area or Ohio area.
Oh my gosh, we got to go back and look at your vision board, Holly, and see, how you're tracking against your goals. That's so exciting. Congrats.
Mhm.
And I love, learning through experience is very valuable, especially if you can learn from other people's experience. But sometimes firsthand is the best way to do it.
Definitely.
All right. Okay, let's see. I'm going to try to not miss anybody here. Christy, hello from Spain. Now Christy's in Spain.
Oh, we can't hear you. You're
Go
muted.
unmute.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I am a local to Bend, Central Oregon real estate agent. Suzanne and Sarah are my mentors, and I am an aspiring real estate agent and just always love these gatherings and just get a ton of information. So I'm excited to hear from Karen and the beautiful project she flipped. I got to see it after, and just, thanks for everyone being here.
We're glad you're here. I know it's late where you're at. All right, Dave, good to see you on here.
Hey, sorry I couldn't make it into the office today. I just got back from another couple of meetings this morning. Dave Budnick, I'm a local real estate investor. I have properties scattered around the country, including a bunch of duplexes and small mobile home park. My big project this year is we're building an assisted living, actually a memory care facility. We've got our land locked up. We're still fighting with the city of Redmond on land use permit process. It seems to have been taking, it's about 6 months of discussion so far. Hopefully we'll get through that process shortly. We are looking for another investor to help us with all the down payment requirements. So if anybody knows anyone who wants to invest in a very profitable assisted living business, let me know.
I love it. It's great to put those calls out on these meetups, because you never know who's going to give you a call. And on that note, I would just like to invite anyone online to go ahead and put whatever contact information you're comfortable sharing in the chat so that people can contact you. It can be your phone number, your email, your website, your social handle, whatever you're comfortable sharing, just pop it in the chat. And then maybe we can get a sign-in sheet going in the office, and then we can somehow share that on here as well. We'll figure that out somehow.
I'll just post it on the Facebook Marketplace. I'll post what's on here not Marketplace, on the
Our
Facebook.
Facebook group. Perfect. We're not going to sell your contact information.
Yeah, sorry. Oh my gosh.
Okay, thank you, Dave. All right, Natalie, welcome. You're talking, you're muted.
Okay, I'm here. My video's not working, but yeah, I chatted with Suzanne and Sarah a couple weeks ago, and they had a lot of great information. I'm a total newbie, so just trying to get as much education as possible. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to learning. Thank you, guys.
We're glad you're here. All right, Wayne, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to join you guys. Yeah, my name is Wayne Powderly. I am a construction manager, owner's rep in the commercial industry, public works, offices, and so forth. But I have flipped a home in the past, and I'd love to just be a fly on the wall today and learn more from you guys.
Super. We're glad you joined us. Thank you. All right. Well, we've heard from Karen already, so we're just going to dive in. And Karen, you just tell me when you're ready for the next slide, and I will advance.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. If you guys have any questions during it, just stop me and I can answer them. Like Suzanne said, I'm going to show you all the numbers. So luckily it was successful. I don't mind showing them. So if you go just to the next slide. So we talked about kind of what we wanted to communicate. And one of the things was like the first steps, what do you need to set yourself up for a successful project? And for Ashley and I, we focus on the building and we don't really want to spend any time looking for the projects. So it's really important that our agents, like we have with Suzanne and Sarah, to find you a good project and be on the lookout. And then also when you look at the project, bring you good comps and a good ARV. And I think this was the third project you brought to us. I think maybe, there was a month where we were looking at projects. This was the third one. We went, and I'm pretty sure we were going to make that offer before we even looked at the property. But you came, you showed us the house, you had the comps, the ARV, and so we could, because we've got, 20 plus years each experience in construction, we were able to quickly make an analysis and a decision about whether we wanted to make an offer. And so we did. And then from there, for me, I'm sort of a numbers nerd and I really like to get down into the weeds. And so, that comes from my commercial construction background. The previous flip that we did as part of this company, I just used Excel spreadsheets. But for this project, I wanted to get a little bit more detailed. And so I found a tool online that I purchased, which you'll see on a following slide, that helped me really plug in the financing costs, the holding costs, the renovation budget, and then it showed us what we were going to be paying on the project, and it was really accurate. So that was very helpful. You talk about you asked Whit about how we can be successful right now in this climate with pricing. We tend to self-perform most of the work. So I run the management side. Ashley can do pretty much any trade. And so that's how we keep costs down, because there's not as much labor costs involved. So really when we're doing an estimate, we're looking at material pricing and how long the schedule is going to take and what we have to cover just as a buffer for our bills. But we usually bank all of our profit to the end of the project. So it feels like we've made a lot of money. But if you don't self-perform a lot and you're getting sub quotes, if you're new to flipping and you're not going to be doing the work yourself, then it's important, hopefully you've got relationships with subcontractors where you have historical data, square foot installation costs, whatever it might be, that you can quickly pull from and kind of put together your estimate. If not, I'd start like creating relationships now with subs, because they would be more responsive to your requests for pricing. And then just make sure you have, as much as you can, a complete scope of work plugged in with all the sub quotes. So, your profit, your estimated profit is close to what you're going to be making. And then of course, the bigger, more complex unknown a project is, the higher contingency you may need. So typically when we know the exact scope, I'll plug a 10% contingency, which is pretty standard. For this project, I put a 20% contingency, and we probably could have gone even higher, because you walk into the house, it's a very unique house, a lot of curved walls, and you couldn't really figure out we couldn't figure out what we were going to do until we took all the walls down, or most of the walls down, to see like where the structural points were and what the layout was going to be like. So we had a pretty hefty contingency in there. You can flip, Suzanne. So this was the tool that I found online. I found several, but this was one that just worked with, the way I think through things. And you can get it at houseflippingspreadsheet.com. I think it costs like $25. And so on this worksheet, you plug in all the financing costs, the interest rate of the loan, the lender points, if you were going to be paying things monthly or upfront, and how much of the project you were going to be financing. And then the next worksheet is on the next page. This is the construction budget. And this was one of the only areas that you could actually modify. So you could add different divisions. All of these line items expanded. It had scope items plugged in there with costs, which I wouldn't recommend using because they're location based and they didn't work for the area. And then it had, blank pages or blank spaces for you to put your own scope in there. And then all that funneled into this next page. And of course, it's like high school or college, like all the yellow cells you've got to plug in with information. But so you go through, you put in the after repair value, you plug in all your buying, holding, and selling costs, and then it pulls the financing costs from that first page. And then you've got your budget. You put in your contingency. If you want to make overhead and profit, you can plug it in there, so then it calculates the repair estimate. And then it, outputs this calculation for your rehab profit. So this is what we based the decision on, whether we were going to move forward. Really, we had already put the offer in, but this looked pretty good to us, even though we were out of this like 70% rule where you don't want to pay more than 70% of the ARV. It made sense to us to do it, so we went ahead and did the project.
I have a question. With the rehab analyzer, did you get professional estimates, or how do you come up with these numbers?
So all of those numbers were plugged in for me. Again, we self-perform, so I can go to Building Solutions or like Home Depot and get material pricing, and then I know how much our employee is, so I plugged that, and I plugged in a couple sub costs that I feel confident estimating.
Okay.
But that's just because I've been doing this for a really long time.
So would you typically have a contractor come out and help you with estimates, especially if you're starting out?
Oh, if I was starting out, yeah. I'd find somebody you already have a relationship with that would help you do that.
So you obviously have a lot of in-house stuff if you're painting that house for $2,700.
Oh yeah, and that's all material. So like, for instance, the labor that you would typically pay somebody to paint your house is all rolled up into that rehab profit because Ashley paints the house. So since we've got really low personal expenses and low overhead, so we can kind of like bank what we're going to need to work through the year, and then just put the material costs for some of these things in here. That's why it's so low. And that's why this deal was so profitable for us. I mean, I could have, you can do this and you can take the labor that's in that rehab profit and put it back into these repair cost line items. And so you're paying yourself through the project, which is fine too, if that's what you want to do. And then you just, you get a little bit less of a bump at the end for what you're making. So.
And I think this is all about like leveraging what your core competency is, right? So for Karen and Ashley, like because they self-perform, that gives them an advantage. Maybe you have a different advantage in here somewhere. So I think, yeah, just something to think about for everybody, like, how you can keep your costs down in one aspect or another.
Yeah. Okay, we can go to the next sheet. So something that was new for us was doing this with a fix and flip loan. Our previous flip, we just took out a regular mortgage, and then all the flips that Ashley had done in Iowa, I mean, the houses there are like 10 or 15,000. So you pay cash for the house and then you do what you need to. But this, because it was, close to $1 million, we decided to do a fix and flip. And I misunderstood how the loan product worked. And so, what I thought was naive of me to think, but I assumed we'd be able to take the amount that we needed for the renovation and keep it in our account and then just pay for the renovation, and it would be a problem. But what we had to do, I mean, luckily I realized it quickly and we could do it. We had to come to the table with $155,000, which was 88% of the renovation budget. And then the mortgage company held on to it. And then we performed the work, and then we had to submit a draw and bill back for it to get our money back. And so what that did was forced us to use a lot more credit than I had anticipated, which you'll see the effect of that on a couple slides down.
Who's your lender?
Merchants Mortgage. And then another challenge for us for this particular project, which is really important to kind of really understand what the lender needs and to provide them what they need, is their draw process. So they made it seem really easy. We submitted draw and they send it to a third party reviewer who gets a local inspector who comes and inspects the house, no big deal. And then it gets approved and deposited into your account. And so I'm really conservative when I bill, and I never overbill. The inspector came the first time. I asked him if he had any questions. He said no. I asked him, can I show him around and what we billed for? He said, no problem. Or he said, no, I don't need that. I just walk around, take pictures, and I send it. But he didn't have any of the documentation that we sent about what we were billing for. So then the third party gets the pictures, makes their assessment, and then I get an email saying that the draw has been approved, but what gets deposited is actually maybe 30% of what I billed for. So because he didn't take pictures of the, footings or whatever it might be. So, and then to submit another pay application would be another $300 or $400. So it ended up being, I started going back to my commercial construction background and sending him a pay application with like 50 pages of backup in order to get the money that we were billing for that we had already spent.
And that was reimbursement, correct? Like you said, you had already spent that money. We're just trying to refill the coffers.
Yeah, exactly.
And what, can I ask you, what kind of a loan, what do they call this kind of a loan?
So this was a fix and flip loan.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was an interest loan. And the initial period was for 9 months, and then we got to extend it, I think, for another 3 months or 6 months.
Just deferred interest on the next.
Yeah. So then you get hit with, maybe if you have to go over 9 months, you get like another $3,000 fee, which we sold it on the 9th month, last day of the 9th month. So that was good.
Is there an advantage to like not extending it and say, instead of saying 6 months, just just say 9 months? And then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the way these loan products work, they're short-term loan products. So they'll either say you get a 6-month loan with a 3-month extension, or a 9-month loan with a 3-month extension. So they kind of just tell you what you can and cannot do, but the longest it would be is 12 months.
Okay.
Yeah, and it comes down to the loan to value, your LTV, how much, you're putting down, how much your revenue costs are, things like that. But I mean, technically it was an 80 LTV, right? Or 75
80, it was almost 89.
Okay, because they were wrapping construction costs into the loan as well. So they had to come up with 20% of the construction costs and the purchase price for this loan. And then they were getting draws for their construction costs.
Is there funding out there that does 100%?
No, not, no.
Private.
Yeah.
So what you do is you find your fix and flip lender, and then you find her who loans you 50 grand.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's exactly, yeah. Because this is private money technically.
Right, sure.
They're all portfolio loans. So, exactly. You'd have to find your portfolio loan lender and then find your down payment lender. Right.
So this was the Iowa property?
Oh, no, this is
River Woods.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And some you can do deferred interest on some, which I'd probably look for next time if we did this again. So there's certain terms that you can negotiate depending on who it is.
Yeah. Would you, now in hindsight, would you do this type of loan again, now that you're more educated on what it is? Would you do it again?
I think so. I think I would do the loan product again. I'd probably shop it around a little bit.
Okay. And now how does this compare with maybe doing like a DSCR?
Yeah, with DSCR, you're not getting your renovation budget out of it, right? And it's going to be about the same LTV, I think.
Does DSCR not provide, don't do any loan products for fixing or rehabbing?
DSCR is primarily for like a longer term hold. So,
Okay.
A debt service coverage. So it's basing an income on a flip. There's going to be no monthly income.
Yeah.
So they would have to base this loan off of renting for $4,000 a month, which isn't going to cover 1.3 million.
Yeah.
Really, it's just not, it's the wrong thing.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
It's an expensive loan product for sure, but
it was worth it.
Yeah, I think at this price point is really what makes this kind of product and project worth it, right? Versus something that's a lot less and you're spending a lot more for essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're selling it for how much?
We haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, yeah.
It's sold. Yeah, it's sold.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, the drum roll has.
Yeah.
It's still drumming.
Luckily.
I got the last.
Okay, Suzanne. So some hiccups or issues, budget overruns, they're bound to happen. So definitely include a good contingency. And for me, it was always important, well, for really anyone, to know where you stand with your actuals versus your estimates. So in a slide, there'll be a spreadsheet that I was using, and I'd get in there every single day, and I knew exactly where we stood. How much money we had, how much money we were spending, what our budget was on like the toilet accessories and the this and the that, just so I could make really quick decisions in the moment if I needed to. And this is just something, if you're working with a partner, this last bullet point, or you're working with a friend or whoever it might be, know what's important to them, so you can compromise where you need to, because personally in our situation, Ashley is a custom builder. She's very creative and she executes really well and doesn't want to take any shortcuts, which is great. But it also can impact the budget. So, when you can do a handrail for say $1,000 and she wants to do a $3,000 handrail, sometimes it's better to do the $3,000 handrail and have a relationship at the end of it. But it really, pick your battles. Yeah, pick your battles, and it looked amazing. So I'm really glad, and because I knew exactly where we stood, I could say yes or no on certain things.
I know this probably depends kind of answer, but maybe you could elaborate beyond that. Is when you do a fix and flip, you're not actually doing a construction grade of a product in the house.
It depends.
It depends on the neighborhood, right?
Yeah. So the price point. There's that's a big part of the decisions he made, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like from the get go, she would reach out to, hey Sarah, hey Suzanne, do you think this, this product or this product? Do you think this is necessary? Spend money or not? And that's where you're having your network to cut these things off of.
Now, did you tour homes, or you just were finding? So you can match,
Exactly. We looked for comps around the area where she wanted the ARV to be on this, or where we thought the ARV was going to be on this, to make sure that what they were doing aligned with her was better than.
Yeah. The first flip we did in DR Dub was pretty much contractor grade. And this was, higher end. So
now, was your offer price just not maybe out of the hat, and then you did your homework of the analysis? You know what I mean? Just
no. Because
I don't know how fast you got to put in an offer around here, but
we walked into the house and we talked we were in there for like 20 minutes. We said, yeah, it'll probably take a couple $100,000 to do the renovation. Mm-hmm. If we buy it initially we would put in, I think 900,000 was the offer. And then at 1.5, we can walk with a decent budget. But we can look at the house and say, yeah, we can do this for 200,000 or no, or, it's going to take more. So.
To answer your question, it really just depends on the house, how long it's been on the market. But we actually were with a competing offer. We closed at 925.
What was he asking?
950.
Was he asking?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
But and also the market for over 35 days too. So it wasn't like, we had to come in and swoop on day one. This sat for a little while.
Patient sellers.
Mm-hmm. It was a unique house.
Yeah, and I don't think the agent did a good job marketing it for sale. Mm-hmm. So.
Right.
Okay. So this is just one of the spreadsheets that I use for everything in the budget. I had a line item here, said what it was, the spec, where I bought it, the cost, what our budget was, what the delta was. And it also had an ETA and a location, whether it was at our shop or the job site. So I knew at any given moment how much we had spent. And then also I had a spreadsheet that showed how much credit we had available, how much we spent, what the interest rate was, what the max payment would be per month if we maxed it out, just so I knew where to pull money from and how to manage a budget this size. So. And then here are the actual numbers. So the duration we had estimated to be 8 months. But when we got in there and started taking down walls and really digging around, there was probably 15% more work than we had initially thought. In terms of fixed costs, I underestimated some of the buying, holding, and selling costs and overestimated financing costs. So, we were over by $3,500, which isn't too bad. For the repair cost, we initially estimated 101,000, 102,000, and came out spending 136, which again, I knew where all of this was at the time. So, I knew we were spending over, but we added scope. We chose higher end finishes. And, the contingency essentially kind of balanced that out, which if that was the only overage, we would have been golden, but it wasn't. So subcontractor costs, we originally had 23,000 in there. At the end of the day, we spent 40, and that was very intentional decisions to get an interior designer for a couple decisions. We, at the point of the project where it was time to do drywall, most of it was vaulted ceilings and, ceiling cladding. And I didn't want Ashley to break her back on it. So we spent 13 grand on a drywall sub to come in. And then we did, window cleaning and some landscaping. So all like really intentional things on we were going to overspend to get the project done on time. For GCs, we spent a little bit more because the project went over by a month. And then what I hadn't anticipated at all was the interest for the credit card and the lines of credit that I was using. So that was $23,000 over. So for repair costs, we were over budget by $52,000. The good thing was that we sold it for $100K and we thought we were going to. So instead of a profit of 193, we actually had a profit of 237. Now, if we had sold it for the 1.5, 137 isn't bad, but that's pre-tax, and that's also for two people for 9 months. So, then it starts to not look good. So it was really good that we were able to sell for 1.6.
How big was the house?
Just under 3,000 square feet.
3 beds, 4 beds.
So we bought it as a 2.5, and we made it a 4.3.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's right on the river. That was the big piece of it. And there was always definitely always a little bit of a question being into Deschutes River Woods, but we really just banked on the fact that it's accessible to the Deschutes River.
Right.
If it wasn't on the river, I would have thought a little bit harder about buying it.
For sure.
Yeah.
And also, looking at your end buyer, like we decided from the get-go it was probably going to be a family or somebody who treats it as a primary residence, but there was also, an additional exit strategy being the fact that it's in Deschutes River Woods and it could be a short-term rental, right? So, just having lots of options for who your end buyer is going to be, but also then just building it to the spec of who you anticipate it being as well, which would have been about the same for this stuff.
Did you add rooms or did you just convert rooms?
So there was like a wing of the house that was laid out really weird. And so we used the square footage that in the house that we had. We reconfigured some of the walls. The downstairs movie room, we added a door at the bottom of the stairs, like as you enter the room. And then there was a really deep bookcase that we made a closet. And so that was the easy bedroom conversion.
The interest rate on your credit cards and other loans was more than the interest rate on the money you were borrowing from merchants. Is that correct?
Yeah, the lines of credit weren't. The credit cards were. Your typical credit card interest rate. And then merchants was 10.5.
Yeah, because that's something for me. I think moving forward, I think I would love to be graduated out of these types of loans because the spending the money on the renovation costs as well from these companies is really expensive. So like ideally in my world, like I'm using other credit sources that cost less money and or like I'm just financing them as I go and make money myself. But that's a unique position to be in. But by doing a first project, spending a little bit more money on the money it takes in order to do the renovation, then making your profit, and then hopefully maybe saving some of that in order to fuel your next renovation budget could be a good sort of sequence of events. I think ideally one wants to graduate out of these types of loans and just do like DSCR on the property itself and then find other ways to finance the rent part. But this is an option. It's absolutely for everybody.
DSCR.
Debt service coverage ratio. It's a commercial type loan product, right? So that it's, I mean, it has to be a rental property of some sort. It doesn't necessarily have to have a lease, but yeah, it has to. You have to have enough money down. You always have to have enough money down, which is usually 20 to 30% on these things. So.
So you guys work time on this project?
Yeah. Overtime.
Okay. So you made more money than you anticipated. That's the takeaway here. 44 grand more than what you were estimating, which is super awesome.
I mean, the first offer we got was for 1.45, so lost money. And then a few hours later, luckily we got the 1.6 offer. So,
which was cash, which was amazing.
It was awesome. It went really smoothly. It was great.
Yeah. All right, ready for the next?
Okay. So, you know, contractor hit got all year. Again, we self-perform. We've got a pretty high standard when it comes to quality. We did pull in a couple contractors to help us with some things that we could have done, but it ended up really taking as much time, and we spent money on something that wasn't as good as what we would have done, and we had to repair some things that they didn't do correctly. So this is the second time we've learned this lesson, and we probably won't do it again. And then if you're not doing self-perform work, just know what a typical scope of work is for these subs, and where one sub, you know, stops and another sub picks up. Make sure you have everything covered, so then you can, you know, not only get all the work done and covered in your pricing, but just know how you can sequence the subs. So whether they can, you know, work consecutively or concurrently. Yeah. Did Holly have a question?
Yep. Holly, did you took your hand down, but.
Well, I was just wondering real quick if you think you got a higher offer because of the quality of what you installed. You were saying something about like the handrail. I don't know if that was hypothetical or real, but do you think it's because you did the 3,000 handrail instead of the 1,000, or was it just the market?
I think certain things that we spent more money on drove the 1.6 price. I don't think necessarily the handrail or like certain things that cost more money did. So it's really just kind of figuring out what those are. I know that the initial offer was for an investor, right, for short-term rentals, and so they were trying to get it as cheap as possible. The person that made the 1.6 offer, it was an older couple whose family lives here and they're going to move in, so they value things a little differently.
How many offers did you get on it?
We got 2.
How long did it sit?
I think it was what, 3 weeks?
3 weeks, yeah. And I also just wanted to address in Holly's question, she asked if it was the market. We put this on the market the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
so it's not like during peak summer, you know, spring time, like, you know, it was nearing the holidays, which we typically see, you know, things slow down at that time. So it was very fortunate that we got 2 offers, but I will say that that is because of the location and the quality of the renovation that Karen and Ashley did.
Okay, we can go to the next one.
And the work that you two did.
Yeah. So Sarah touched on this, like market impacts. We actually just talked about both of these. Renovating for a specific end use, you know, if you can, you know, renovate for who you think is going to buy it. There were, I don't know, 9 exterior doors on this house originally when we got it. If it was going to be an STR, I would have left some of those in there and created like its own wing, but you know, we didn't think that's who the buyer was going to be, so we changed it to be more of I guess a safer family house, less doors. And then again, I thought we'd be listing it in September, but because the schedule was pushed a little, we ended up listing it later. And I think if it was a spring summer listing, we would have gotten more activity. So our key areas of focus, we were lucky because the house had these, enormous windows out overlooked the river. It was like you were in a tree house. So we just picked a few choice areas to really spend money. The kitchen was one of them. We did a walk-in pantry with a beverage cooler. We did a workstation sink, which is, one of those like 49-inch sinks that have the cutting boards and all that kind of stuff on there. We did custom cabinetry with a rich cut white oak finish, which is really pretty. And then, originally our appliance package, I estimated $6,000 and we ended up spending $2,500 because I didn't go for the gourmet appliances and I spent it on other things. So that worked out really well. And then the next area of focus was the primary bathroom. We did a steam shower, which could fit about 10 people. Had a big bench. And it had the aromatherapy, the chromotherapy, the Bluetooth speaker. It had a towel warmer. We got a beautiful vanity from Wayfair, but we built it into the walls. So it wouldn't say it looked custom, but it was really nice. Did a chandelier. Everything was mixed metal. And then we did like high-end tile work. We did 2x4 Calcutta gold in the shower and then 1x4 herringbone on the floors. And I think we probably could have simplified those, and made it cheaper and less work, and it wouldn't have made an impact.
Can I ask you a question about the kitchen just quickly when you're saying that you didn't go for the gourmet appliances? What brand did you end up going with? Just curious.
Oh, goodness. I think it was LG. Yeah, just like a regular refrigerator. I was sort of designing this kitchen as if I was going to live in it. So I was originally looking at, a $5,000 refrigerator and all this other stuff, but that's not necessary.
And you only spent $2,500?
Yeah. So it was on without the range. Yeah. So the range was practically brand new Gen Air when we bought it. And then, it was just Home Depot on sale. That was great.
Yeah, I wonder if you did construction or contractors pricing or struggle.
Yes, we do get
on appliances.
And the thing is, like, that's something that's so easy for people to change and is kind of personal too, right? Like your refrigerator is kind of a personal choice. Like it's great that it's in there. People have something nice they want it, but like that's a relatively easy thing to switch out for people if they want something nice there,
And sometimes a gourmet is intimidating or overkill, to some people.
A lot of people don't like to cook.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we got it as a 2.5. We made it a 4.3. Flooring, we did a Du Chateau engineered hardwood, which was beautiful. And then we did some heated floors in part of the house. The rock room, there is a picture of this later, so it'll be easier to kind of explain it, but just like making spaces usable and unique if you're challenged with what's offered. So
did you get the county involved with the bedrooms?
No, not the bedrooms.
So you just did it and listed it as that, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, because the county was going to make, it had 2.5 baths on the county records. It was actually listed as a 2.5, right? With the county. Yeah. And then, I don't know what they did or why they listed as a 2.5, but so we permitted the bathroom because we wanted that recorded. So
you didn't permit the extra bedrooms, is what you're saying?
No, because the walls weren't necessarily structural, and I didn't really care if the county said 3-bedroom versus 4-bedroom. So,
I mean, these people buy and sell homes all day long,
right?
And it's really like all this is public knowledge, and you just have to say to yourself, like, this is what it says on tile. This is what I know about the builders and people that have changed the space.
They'll physically verify,
right? For every buyer.
Yeah. So. How was the permitting process?
When you never had a problem with permitting.
It just takes a while.
Does
it?
Dubuque County isn't bad.
Yeah.
County's
You're
awful.
doing county. I was,
City's awful.
cities.
City's awful.
What's not bad? How long?
It was like 6 months.
Oh my God.
For city. Yeah,
wow.
for septic.
Well, you're taking up your whole time with your lenders.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right.
Okay, so before and after,
Oh, single level.
they a lot of things in this house were Pepto-Bismol pink. The pictures didn't have the solar on there. That was there. And they didn't even have it in the description. The xeriscaping, they didn't have good pictures of. I think the only picture that they had that was off season, so it didn't have snow everywhere, was one picture of the river. But we obviously changed some of the windows, cleaned up the landscaping, painted it. Okay. So this was the kitchen. It was kind of a weird layout. If you were standing at the stove in the old kitchen, you would be staring right at a wall. So we flip-flopped the space, moved the kitchen to the left. So if you're standing at the sink, you're staring out through the living room out onto the trees, so you look like you're in a tree house. And then we moved the pantry across the way as well, because you can see it right there. It's kind of in the space. And then they had a door to the garage. But if you go out that door, it's like a 30-foot corridor, a cold corridor to a garage that didn't have like a man door at the end of the corridor. So we changed it around, opened up the space, heated the floor, and then put the door at the end. So it was part of the house, kind of like a long sunroom. Okay. This was the living room. We just clad drywall over the ceiling, did trim around the windows and casing, changed out the flooring, and you can see that's one of the millwork pieces, the entry, over there. So we did a lot of accent pieces like that, custom oak column wraps and handrails and that kind of thing. This was in the living room looking the other way. So the weird thing about this house is that was a loft, and you got there from the primary bedroom. And once you were up in the loft, it had a big opening into the kitchen, a big opening into the living room, and then the loft on the other side of the house had an opening from the entryway. So you could actually stand on one side of the house and holler or do whatever, and you could hear it on the other side of the house. So there was really no privacy. So we flipped it around and just made it accessible from the living room and closed off the opening into the kitchen. We did all oak trim stuff there. So this was the primary bath. Again, a lot of pink. It looks like it's the same space, but it's a little bit different. But yeah, you can see some of the mixed metal, and way back there is that steam shower. And then this is the rock room. It was a cold, so the whole like back area down to the river had these boulders. It was beautiful. We cut a trail down to the river. And this was the lower level of the house, and it was just like a storage room. So we cut that platform back, trimmed it out, finished it, painted it, put in some rug. And then there was a new deck that we replaced off of that dirt. We were a little bit closer to the river if you went out that way. So there's my sink. And then this was a local artist that did reclaimed wood or reclaimed material, furniture and lighting and stuff. We got that from him.
Are those from barrels?
I think so. Yeah.
Looks like it.
That was the pantry, and that was actually we had to do a access for the steam shower unit. It was behind that right there. And this was the other loft. So like here they had a staircase going in, a regular staircase. They had a stair loft, which took up a lot of square footage. So we did the library ladder with me railing up there.
To the same loft?
It was a different loft. Oh, there was 2 lofts in the house. And then that's the back of the house. So that's the primary bedroom, and then the movie room underneath. There was 1, 2, 3, 4 decks.
And there's a trail that goes to the water.
Yeah.
That's part of the property. Where's the property line? To the water?
Yeah, it's a double lot. I mean, so like if it didn't have that, you definitely couldn't have gotten this price point and we would have made the money. So if you can find something like that as part of your flip, then it makes it worth it. Or you're looking at more of a contractor grade flip. Yeah. Okay.
Next.
Okay, so one thing that we did that I probably wouldn't do again, we listed it before the finishing touches were on there. And so we think maybe that's why there wasn't as many offers. because I was looking at the numbers and the amount of interest we were paying and everything else. So I said, okay, let's get it on the market before like the cable rail is finished and this kind of thing. But people might have not been able to imagine what the finished product would be.
Yeah,
So-
it was really interesting when we had a ton of showings and our open houses were really busy and everyone's feedback was so positive. But I honestly think this particular demographic at this particular price point, like it was just like they couldn't see it fully done, even though there were the tiniest little things that still needed to be done. And or it was that in a combination with this like subconscious that this is a flip, like, is it not going to be finished when we buy it? Or like, are they not going to really complete the work? So that people like that, it was beautiful. People loved it all day long, but they wanted to come back and see it when it was totally done kind of thing.
What were you missing?
Like there was like a chimney pipe that they still needed to
So
install.
it's just missing.
Like,
There's a wood stove with no pipe to the ceiling.
There's a wood stove and the pipe was like next to it. We just hadn't installed it yet.
like handrail.
The balusters on the spiral staircase weren't installed yet. The cable railing between the kitchen and the entry wasn't installed yet. So just like
It's
just a couple things like
yeah, very minor.
But you get one chance with buyers.
Sure.
most of the
Yeah,
time,
exactly.
So
So then, yeah, for staging, I think the staging really helped. What I did, I found one stager because I didn't really know the market here in Bend. So I've got one stager's price right off the internet, and then I got 2 other quotes. And I was able to use that information to negotiate with the stager that I really wanted. And she did an amazing job staging it. Looked really great, which I think helped.
People, and that was another piece of feedback. People just really appreciated them taking the time and money to stage the house because it was a funny house, the layout and just like really being able to see the furnishings in there. I think just great feedback from buyers on that. And I think really made a difference with the price point as well.
Yeah. And then, landscaping, we did more landscaping than I had originally anticipated, just because I wanted it to really look amazing. And at the end, I just paid for the landscaper to do it instead of us doing it. So it's a little bit more money, but I think it definitely paid off. The buyer had asked for us to put some chairs down to the river on the trail, which we did because it was a little steep and they were 70 years old.
And Karen actually could have been like, no, like we've got enough to do. This wasn't part of our punch list, but they had a cash buyer who was willing to close on their schedule. Like it was something that they expressed was very important to them, and they went above and beyond. And how much extra did we spend to do that? I mean,
we spent $3,000. They wanted us to cut the dirt and put gravel down, which is very dangerous. So we ended up, doing the railroad ties with rebar down to the ground.
They did more than the buyers even asked for, and they were just like that. Really, just set the tone for the rest of the transaction. It was just like, oh my gosh, like look what they did above and beyond. Like we're so happy they're, and so just being a little accommodating, doing that little give and take thing, just like goes so far with just with certain buyers.
I'd be interested in knowing, because you did most of this yourself, if the number, just to see if it was like a brand new people, you're going to use all subs for everything, which would entail also having a GC. I wonder,
Your profit wouldn't be as
well, it would not, it wouldn't be anywhere. I just don't know, this particular project just on its own, and you think about that switch, would it have been worth it?
I don't know. I just don't know a lot of people out there who are flipping homes who aren't doing part of it themselves in any way, right? Like you have to have some value that you're adding to the product in some way,
So you would have to think if you're paying like a GC, you'd be out like 150K in labor.
Yeah.
So but you're not doing any of the work, so then you can have multiple flips going on at once.
Correct. And
you're just managing.
Thank you for bringing that up, because in one mentorship that I was in, it basically, their thing was, it's not what it costs you, what it makes you. So as long as you knew, like this particular project, that wouldn't have, you wouldn't have had to have gotten it for way less of a price. Probably would not have happened. It wouldn't have happened. And so it's just something to think about. Like, when you are going to do this and have the work done for you, and if you could do another one, like if that was that's exactly it. Like it allows you to be able to look for the next one right away. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you.
And then pictures, Suzanne and Sarah hired someone to do pictures, and he did a great job. I think he was in there for 4 or 5 hours. He did twilight drone video, detail shots, And then, yeah, they had 3 open houses, one the day before Thanksgiving. Christy did one, so everybody chipped in. It worked. And then again, like, you know, the unique selling points, it was on the riverfront. You can do short-term rentals in Deschutes County there with really no issue. And there was no HOA, which I love that about DRW. Like, everybody's just does their own thing. And, but you know, around the corner from our house, even though our street was really nice, around the corner was a house with like 5 broken down cars in the driveway. So it takes, you know, a special place. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing. Like, one other thing I think that was particularly special about this house, and that I think people should be looking at when they're buying homes for flips, is that this home had basically a brand new HVAC system,
Yeah.
a new roof. Like, it had
Paid off solar.
exactly it paid off solar. Like, so, I mean, for example, you know, versus, you know, another home we were looking at recently for clients who it was a flip project, beautiful finishes, all those things, but, you know, hot water heater's done, HVAC's done, and those are big ticket items for a buyer to come in and have replaced. So it's one thing if, you know, all like this home was like a relic, you know, like it hadn't been touched for years, but it had just elderly homeowners who were keeping up with like the guts and the main parts of the system, you know, of the home that are expensive. So they had done that stuff, but never like done the superficial thing. So it's really just finding the exact right equation for that, you know. I think was another big reason why this one went so well also. And then I think, yeah, just the price point is another place where like you have more money tied into it up front on higher value homes, but there's the margins are a lot greater because most of the homes and sell between $1 and $2 million. And there's a lot of people buying in that category as well. So I don't know. Yeah. That's my feedback.
I'm curious with the Iowa one that you did. Did you go out there?
So that was actually when she was a GC in Iowa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
she was
there
on site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those were unplanned. Her father was a builder who passed away, and they discovered he had like 5 properties that he purchased that he had to flip. So then they ended up flipping them. But yeah, I mean, out there you can just buy cash.
So Karen, I've been in this house multiple times.
You been in this house?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You beat me out. I wanted to come shake your hand. I negotiated on this so hard. My final offer was $915 and I just couldn't budge. You took it better and farther than I would have. So I just wanted to meet you or whatever, you know. But, I was thinking 1.4, it would be max was what I was thinking, but I wouldn't have done the finishes that you did. And it was, you did the right thing is what I'm saying. And so,
yeah.
But what scared me was the foundation. You walk downstairs and the thing, you could roll a ball to the corner. I got multiple quotes. 150,000 was the cheapest I got just to shore the thing up.
Yeah.
Was that an issue? I mean, what?
I had engineers look at it.
Yeah, it wasn't an issue. I mean, we went under there and took a look at everything.
Yeah, me too.
And we
Just the weirdest thing in the world. They literally those rocks in the cliffs.
Yeah.
They literally just like set a post on a I mean, it's like.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, well, I need to get a civil engineer out here who can like judge the.
We poured a few new fittings,
Yeah.
and the next home buyers had a
So that slope was still there in the bottom and stuff.
On like in the movie room, you mean?
Yeah,
Or
as
the
soon as you
theater
walk
room
down the stairs, I mean, it kind of just did this. Like I have a picture of my level like this on the floor. But
Yeah, and Ashley, I mean, Ashley is
Seriously,
the engineer brain, and she got under there and took a look. And so she knew what was going on, and she wasn't worried about it.
Okay.
You know, it's 77 years, or it was built in 77. There's going to be some settling, especially the way they built it. So yeah, we just went underneath and shored everything up. And
okay. That was for me. I was just like, I can't. I like
it
this.
scared the shit out of
This
me
too much
too.
because I wanted. So I as a buyer, I'm always just super cautious. Okay, I want the paperwork. So like on this, it was like I had a Eugene come terra firma was imagine.
Oh yeah.
Shore it up, not to fix anything. Basically, they were gonna like get the ram jacks down there and just lock the thing up because in the foundation, like where they poured the footings, I mean the earth was like falling away underneath it. It was just a unique house. That's all I'm saying. To
We
where
did some more retaining to it.
And what I was gonna say is like, the buyers have their own home inspector come in and do a,
Of course,
full
of
home,
course.
and like there's nothing was
They were
called
like,
out,
right.
on the foundation at all.
Now for the theater room, putting that door down there.
Yeah,
kind
you
of
see it
took
all
away.
bound up and
It
stuff.
took away the eyesight, line of where,
it was crooked.
yeah. And I mean, some of the slits are still there a little bit, but
Yeah.
you know, wasn't gonna fall.
Yeah.
away.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's probably just a little extra worried about it. You know, when the cheapest quotes get to 150K and the house doesn't look any different.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
But I mean, the remediation work wasn't a big the deal though.
It wasn't that bad. Yeah.
No.
But my brain works like yours, and I was.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, it's a
like,
risk
oh,
analysis, right? So you're just like, okay, if I gotta work that out, you know.
Well, if you don't know how to fix it affordably, then it is a big risk.
Yeah.
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 I'm sure those foundation companies are.
Yeah, outrageous. Yeah. Yeah, and it was the middle of winter too. So like, I mean, trying to get companies in Bend are just, you know, ridiculous. Just trying to get people from the valley to come give me quotes. And that realtor was a tough negotiator. I mean, I should good for her. She did good.
Really?
She was like some young, hot, you know, guy trying to whatever. She just totally let me blow smoke and so was moving out.
Well,
Yeah.
when we got into the crawl space, and typically we go into crawl spaces and look around and and I don't know why we didn't on this one, but we didn't. And so we get under there and there's 50 years of pine cones under that house.
Oh,
So it cost us like
God would love that.
$4,000. We had a couple of kids come, well, a remediation company that hired some young kids, like 30 some odd trash bags.
Yeah.
And so we just had to redo the whole thing. It had shit from like old renovations, pipes dropped down there. We had to just plug all the holes.
Yeah.
And just make it
Do you have
right.
any insurance problems? No, then my insurance guy's like, I'm not touching this thing.
It took us a minute to find insurance, a couple of weeks, but it was $4,400.
What kind of insurance would you get?
Give you vacant property insurance, so
Yeah.
like your flipping insurance, which that probably wouldn't have been an issue. I texted my, you know, photos of that lower foundation area where the footings were exposed. And I was like, is this, yeah, I know. But you know, he's a good buddy of mine, but anyway. Yeah, insurance is a problem in general, right?
I was a little bit nervous that we weren't gonna get it.
Yeah.
And then when that new fire map did come out, we are the last house on the like medium, and then our neighbor, it was the high. I mean, it's all gonna go up anyway, but yeah. So,
The interesting thing was that the seller's agent, when Karen bought it, brought the buyer when she sold it.
No way.
so
Awesome.
yeah, they both bought and sold full circle.
Great. Yeah.
And she knew the property. She knew the old sellers, you know, so she had all the history, which was interesting. Christy's got a question.
Yay! Well, first of all, I just want to say congratulations because I did get to do 2 open houses, and what you did to that property was absolutely amazing. These are the things that get me super excited about investing, is because it gives that a home a new chance to shine. And of course, that house has been lived in for a long time by the prior owner, and it's just so special. It's so special to see a part of the river. That bend was just so unique. But my question would be, is there a standard for what the return on investment is for adding bedrooms? Because I mean, for taking it from 2 to 4, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if I've never heard of like a standard ROI for just adding bedrooms per se, but that doesn't mean there's not one out there. Like you can get an extra 10% if you add a bedroom. I'm sure there's something out there. But yeah, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, well, yeah, just from 2 to 4, I mean, that's amazing. And what I really loved about the house is it had multiple levels, but it had bedrooms on the single level. So I know when I did the open house, the feedback of like, if it was multi-generational living, or there was just so many options for how people could have set up a living situation, which was really cool too. So, but congratulations, amazing execution from a team. This was teamwork for sure on all aspects.
Thank you. And thank you. During the open house, they gave us a lamp, I think, or a candle. And it was like, I don't know if you had to say it here, but it was great. I was like,
This question is for probably more for Sarah. Suzanne is, I mean, this would not be one to attack for a newbie like myself.
No.
Are there in our county, even Jefferson or Crook, I mean, is there something that's feasible for fix and flips?
Yeah,
that we could tackle?
I think it's tough. I think it's really tough in our market, of course. I think where we're seeing sort of the best opportunity right now are places that have large enough lots that you can have a value add with the single family home that's there, do something with it and subdivide and either develop or just sell up that lot for that extra 40, 60, 80,000, depending on where it's located, right?
Or add an ADU? Is
Or
that,
add an ADU, yeah.
that's a little costly, huh?
It's
Yeah.
like, 150 to
Oh.
costly.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would be looking in Redmond personally at larger lots and single family homes and duplexes that have large enough lots and the homes are positioned in such a way that it would be easy enough to subdivide and for a developer to sell that off, because otherwise, if it's on market, otherwise you just have to find off market stuff.
Yeah.
Really.
Right.
Or again, like it's, once in blue moon, like it's find the right place, right time, right seller, right motivations, but I mean, it's definitely in our market, it's about being ready, and taking action when we say jump, right? Because when the good ones come along, they don't last long. And you just have to trust your team that they're protecting you and having, all of your contingencies and earnest money and all that in mind. But there's no reason to not lock up places and then do the diligence, right? If it's a competitive enough place. But,
Okay.
do you know what it
And
costs?
there was one on the market in Southwest Bend a few weeks ago for like 450, like crazy low. Amazing location, would have been a pretty easy flip. But it had how many offers? Like 6. Like they ended up moving up the offer deadline because they had so many offers.
He got it at asking, and because we called back because
I couldn't believe it. I was just like, what kind of market are we in right now? It's crazy.
Yeah.
But just, no inspection period.
Totally.
That was Friday Anderson.
Yeah, that was on Crest. Yeah.
Bellevue Riley Road, like right up northwest end.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, northwest. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, they're definitely out there, and here's the deal: a lot of people, especially who are new at this, are like get scared when they hear that there's a lot of offers. But like, I mean, he's a great example. He got it in multiple offer situation at asking price. We've got another agent in our brokerage who went in on a duplex, like another multiple offer situation. He ended up getting second position, backup offer, and then you got it, I think, under asking a little bit by getting it backup. So it's just like you have to just you have to come up with what your boundaries are, what your maximums are. Make sure you're not emotionally attached in that way. Like, have done your numbers, be confident in what your offer is, and let us advise, right, to a certain degree, just based on what's going on and what we can dig up. But then just put your offer in, and you might get it, you might not. But like, as long as you always fall back on the numbers, right? But they're out there. But we probably only see like 6 a year.
90% of what I buy are from wholesalers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So off market stuff.
Right.
Yeah. What areas are you working in?
Mostly Bend. I haven't done La Pine in a while. Three Rivers was a hot spot for us for a while, but that area's cooled off so much on the ARVs. I'm just a little more cautious. So the ones we got going on right now are more common city. I've done Redmond, but the only time I ever lost money on flips in Redmond.
Yeah,
a little more cautious.
It fluctuates really
Yeah.
much. It goes up really fast and down really fast too. So timing is really important in that market with seasonality.
If I could add one item, it's pretty niche, but if you have a historic property, you can get, I believe, 20% of your development costs back as tax credit.
Oh, we should let Nancy know about that.
It doesn't apply as much out here where there's not as many historic properties, but it is something that if you develop in a way that follows.
Cost back is what?
Yeah.
Tax.
Would you say that historical or historic renovation and having to do it that way adds cost? For sure. I mean, at least that's my experience in commercial. I don't know about residential.
Well, I mean, again, my wife does it.
Yeah.
She has a
I think that
consulting
has more
firm that
red
does
tape.
that.
I mean,
But we came from DC where there were major historic properties
Yeah,
that were
yeah.
like a downtown shopping area, so there's a lot of money that would go into it.
Yeah.
And if 20% is the make or break profit margin for the entire development, so that would be, a big part of it. But I don't know, you have to run the numbers.
What did you say? 20% back is what?
On new development costs
Oh.
for everything up to the envelope of the structure.
Who paid for that?
It's a tax credit.
It's a tax credit.
Federal or state?
Federal, but there are state programs as well.
Cool. new news to me. I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because we've definitely helped sell a couple homes in the historic area here in Bend, and those are lessons people are learning the hard way. Is how to do historic stuff. A whole other layer.
There's historic stuff.
Oh,
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and please come back in 1 month because we're going to be talking about how to kick corporate for anybody in the room that has a W-2 that doesn't want to anymore. I'm going to be talking about how I use real estate investments to break free. And we also have Brooke Hesseltine, who will be joining me to talk about how she did this as well. And she's been a guest speaker for us. She now owns a property management company in Bend in Southern Oregon. So yeah, we're excited to share what we know for those of you who are ready to do something else and maybe work from Spain or Baja or wherever your heart desires.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Just grab coffee with anyways, yeah, he was like, I don't know. Anyways, he was saying you guys had a tough negotiation and came out as friends. So that's cool. He's a good dude.
I love it when I get
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, she had an exit, right?
And you're also.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys do.
Yes, both. We do mostly commercial and.
Thank you.
Okay.
She's picking you guys' brains.
Yeah.
We built a big house in the sun right now. Okay.
residential construction or architecture.
Architecture, yeah. Okay. I do a lot of work in my background in architecture
What do you guys
right
still
now.
have TI kind of stuff? Or-
A little bit of everything up here.
It's not, well, I do so.
It's very interesting.
So I still do a lot of stuff.
So you were-
And I have, and I've done a little bit with a couple of designers and stuff, like kind of work. But, try to figure out the problems. What's the problems. When I work with designers, that's where that's what usually happens. Because
I've seen you guys.
because I-